Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thy kingdom, power, and glory forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would ask you all to stand with me for a couple of moments of silence. Actually, first is to recognize Ms. Janice Smith. Ms. Janice Smith started working for this district. Not sure exactly when she started with us, but I know that when I was here in the early 90s, she dealt with property records and made sure that county tags were on everything, and was very good and very thorough at what she did. Worked her way through college as an employee of ours, and then worked her way as a teacher. And she was a teacher at Country Oaks Elementary, and she just passed right at the beginning of school this year, August 23rd. She's going to be sorely missed by the entire Country Oaks as well as the Hendry County staff. Miss Mary Lois Lee became employed with Hendry County Schools in 1956 and taught all the way through 1999 as a teacher at Westside Elementary School. She again was a very permanent and stable figure. I had the honor of having Miss Lee teach me in 3rd grade. And both of these ladies will be sorely missed by the schools, the community, and by the Hendry County School District and leaders as well. So if you will, please join me in a moment of silence for both of these ladies. Thank you very much.
Superintendent, looks like we have a presentation this evening.
We do have a presentation this evening. We're proud partners of United Way. Everybody's heard of United Way and know the great things that they do. And you may or may not know all the great things they do here in Hendry County. And if you do not know and you want to get more involved, I'm sure Ms. Sands is going to pave the way tonight for you to understand some of the opportunities for you to do that. I've had the opportunity myself to sit on some of the distribution committees where the money that is raised and then brought into Hendry County, and how it is divided up amongst the unbelievable great things that they fund here in Hendry. So we greatly appreciate them every year. We're partners through payroll deductions that we do, as well as other generous donations from our employees. And I know Ms. Sands is going to talk to us about that as well. So
keep going.
Yeah, right. You're good to go, right?
You're hired.
Yeah, perfect. Ms.
Thank
Sands.
you. Lisa Sands, I'm the Assistant Director for Hendry and Glades Counties for our United Way. As he mentioned, I know many of you through the fund distribution process, so I just wanted to kind of give you an update tonight on what we've been up to. For some of you that may not know what we've been up to or what we're doing in the community, I wanted to share that information. Am I controlling this or me? Okay. Yep. There we go. Our mission statement is we're a volunteer-driven organization. We're dedicated to improving the quality of life for all people in our community. We obviously do that through fundraising, as he mentioned, but also creating collaborations and different partnerships throughout the community to make it a better place to live and work. We bring people and organizations together and create partnerships that address issues and solve problems. One of the recent ways that we've done this, especially on the LaBelle side of Hendry County, is through our homelessness issue. We had a meeting recently with law enforcement and some of our public safety officials to try to sit down and just kind of have a conversation of what's going on with our homeless community. Dr. Mundy was able to get that conversation with us and just kind of start the conversation on what ways that we can work together to try to help address the issue. So that's a good way that we can start those partnerships and create ways to work together. A lot of problem solving that we are able to do. We're able to bring out agencies from other areas like Lee County and Charlotte County to help cover situations in Hendry that we might have. And so we're doing that also with the district, as Mr. Swindle mentioned, through fundraising. Last year, your staff and teachers raised over $8,000 through payroll deductions. Your district is one of the largest in our area with raising funds through payroll deductions, so we're super proud to partner with you guys on that. Mr. Swindle set a goal of $10,000 this year. We have been out, Greg and Estella and I have been out to all 10 schools in the district already in this last month, and I'm happy to announce that you have exceeded the $10,000 goal. So far, you're at $10,123 through payroll reduction. I know that many of you are part of that, and we just want to say thank you for being part of that, and that will go into being a pay center for our upcoming campaign, which we're working on setting the goal for now. This is our 10th year of being a 4-star charity navigator, 100% accountability and finance. Our last year's campaign was an over $11 million goal for Hendry and Glades. It was $364,200, and as we mentioned, we exceeded that goal already. So we're working towards setting the next goal. We just finished, I'm getting ahead of myself. We have over 20 partner agencies in Hendry and Glades alone. We fund over 40 programs, so that's something to keep in mind. We're not actually funding the agency, we're funding the program in the community. So some of those logos, you might recognize some of the partners that you already might have through the school district as well. RCMA, Salvation Army, Lighthouse of Southwest Florida. I know a lot of them work with individuals within the district through the programs and things that they have. We have a lot of internal programs now at our United Way. When I started over 9 years ago, we didn't have as many, but I want to share a little bit about some of the ones that we have now. 211 has been around for over 20 years. This is our 24-hour non-emergency helpline. In 211, we also have a program called Mission United, and that's veterans helping veterans. So that's something new that we brought to our area. 211 also serves as the storm hotline, so if a hurricane or other disaster comes to our area, 211 can be utilized as a way for people to get access to supplies and things that they're looking for, rather than bothering emergency management, so that they can get done what they need to do. We are having some issues with the 211 3-digit number in Hendry and Glades. We're working through those issues. There are cell phone towers and complicated stuff that's above my head. So we're recommending that everybody call the 239 number to be able to get through as we're working through those issues.
Don't change this, sorry, I need that 239 number.
433-3900.
239 what?
433.
Sorry about that.
3900.
I didn't know you were taking notes.
There would be
I had a person in need was trying to help in Glades County, and they called 211 and it wasn't.
They were trying to sell them insurance, probably.
Yeah.
It's fun. Anyway, a couple of our other internal programs, Gifts in Kind is a way that people can donate goods. Furniture, we had a lot of hurricane supplies and different things donated before Hurricane Ian. We are able to take those into our warehouse in Lee County and then get them distributed out back through our United Way houses and other partner agencies to get to families. Do you know how big our warehouse is? I forget. 21,000?
36,000 square feet.
36,000 square feet, thank you. And I forgot to introduce Greg, I'm sorry. Greg Gunter is with me, he's our coordinator here in Hendry Glades and my partner in crime. So, We Care is a medical care program for those that are uninsured. If they get diagnosed with something that requires specialty care, we have volunteer doctors that provide their services at no cost to them. They register through the program. Our team links them up with a doctor under that specialty care item. Maybe they injure their knee or get diagnosed with cancer or something like that and they're not insured. We're able to get them linked up with a doctor to care for them. So that's a great program that we also have out here now in Hendry and Glades. The School Resource Center and Community Partnership Schools are specific to Lee County. However, Dr. Mundy has visited our School Resource Center, which is also affiliated with our Gifts in Kind program. It's a way to get supplies out to students directly. If a student comes to school, and again, these are just in Lee County right now, but if a student comes to school, maybe they break their shoe or they need a change of clothes or something like that, through the school district courier service, we are able to get them those supplies quickly within 24 hours. The School Resource Center is embedded in the school district in Lee County. It's our staff, but within the district administrative offices. So we're hoping to bring that out here at some point. I know space is a huge issue in the district right now, so we've had some conversations about that with Mr. Swindle as well. So we're looking forward to that in the future. We have a volunteer center. Some of you have done volunteer projects. Beasley's Paw Prints is our pet therapy program. Days of Caring are where groups go out together. If the school board would like to go out and volunteer together and do a project, we can link you up with an agency or a program that needs something done, painting, anything like that. And then VITA, many of you have taken advantage of our volunteer income tax assistance program. We do taxes for free. No-cost IRS certified volunteers. If any of you really like to do taxes, we would love to have you come volunteer with it. I'm a no on that one too. So that's another great program to take advantage of for staff and teachers as well. Greg and I are in the Community Impact Department. This is where we look at our partner agencies, signing agencies up to become partners. Reunite is a program that is new to our area as well. We work with the Sheriff's Department here in Hendry as well as Lee County to sign people up that may either children or adults that have developmental delays. If they're prone to wandering or getting lost, we register for them through the program for free. It's a very simple registration process. They receive a free DNA scent kit, and once they receive that, they take the DNA from under their arm, they store that in a jar in the refrigerator for up to 10 years in their home. The family keeps that. If that person becomes lost, they turn that over to law enforcement and they're able to help track them faster with the bloodhound dogs. We partnered with Lee County for that because we didn't have bloodhounds out here until recently. We have a puppy now, I think. Is that right, Christy? Puppy bloodhound? Yeah. So we're excited to have the bloodhound on board with us for that. So it's a great program. Again, free. Please refer people to that program that you might know that could use it. You're familiar with our United Way houses. We are in the process of rebranding them as resiliency hubs. Greg and I are still trying to get our mind around that term. But you'll see that change coming soon. We have the one in LaBelle there on Bridge Street, and then we just opened one here in Lewiston. It's within the county sub-office. We have 2 offices there. Right, it's on the north end of the building close to the clerk's office. Estella Aguilar is our mental health resource manager. She's using space there, and we're slowly bringing out agencies to come and serve the community there. We had a United Way house here back in 2020, I believe it was, and during COVID we lost that location, and so we've been working with the county to try to get a place back here. Seems like forever, but we're here. We do have plans with the county to expand that area so that we'll be able to utilize more space and have more agencies come. Right now we have the Salvation Army Act, an agency for mental health services called the Mangroves, and I believe there's one other agency, Goodwill, that's utilizing the space. So we're getting there. As Mr. Swindle mentioned, our fund distribution process is where we review our agencies each year. It's not an automatic that they receive the funding from us. They have to apply every year. We take teams of volunteers out. I know Mr. Sanchez was on a team recently. Tress has been on a team. We had 10 teams this year, over 63 volunteers. A lot of you have participated in that. If you have not, I would welcome you to join us. It happens in August every year, so you'll have to wait till next year if you haven't been able to do it. But that's how we review our agencies. The teams make the funding decisions. So it's up to them to help decide if the agency is doing what they say they're doing in the community and they're utilizing our United Way funding in the appropriate manner that they say they want to. So just a few pictures. We do a lot of outreach events. We've been all the way out into Buckhead Ridge. That's what the picture on the right is, out in Glades County. Working, like I said earlier, with emergency management on different projects. We've done a lot of things with FPL. Their Power to Care team came and actually helped paint our building as a Day of Caring project. You'll see Dr. Monday in the bottom right corner there, one of our superheroes last year. She serves on our board as well as the campaign co-chair for helping raise the funds for our area. So there's a couple of you might recognize yourselves in some of these pictures, but our fund distribution teams, as I mentioned. And that's all I have. So I really just wanted to say thank you, give you kind of an update if you don't know about United Way. If you have any questions.
Thank you. Good briefing.
Thank you.
This is all out?
Yes, and so we can present that. Thank you for bringing it. I had already taken it to the district office, but this is from last year's campaign for the funds raised for 2023-2024. The district raised $8,150. So we'd like to get a picture of that. And then, as I mentioned, we're already exceeding that now for the upcoming campaign. So can we get a picture?
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Good job.
You got it, Grant?
Just kind of,
Stand and squeeze together.
let's see.
Don't start with him.
Here we go. Man, go that way just a little. There you go. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Yes.
Thank you.
Don't let him
this time.
No citizen comment. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Does any board member have anything on the consent agenda they would like to remove and put as an action item? Hearing none, we will move on with the consent agenda. Mr. Superintendent, could we have a recommendation on the consent agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I recommend you approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sammerdike, seconded by Ms. Nelson. Do we have any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, we will move on to action items. So we have a budget hearing, final budget hearing. So we need to open that, the hearing up to that. All right, we will open the hearing here. I guess the chief financial officer will do his presentations.
Mr. Adams, as y'all all know, took over as our Chief Financial Officer, CFO, in roughly mid to late May. And he's done an absolutely wonderful job, coming from an IT background, having to learn, the world of the school of finance. It's not an easy task, but he's done just an absolute great job. He's got a good team around him. Ms. Cox has been constantly working with him to keep him, updated and working, and very proud of the work that they've done, and where we are today. And so I'll pause there and allow him to give you the overview of where we are, and then I'll kick back in.
Thank you, Mr. Swindle, members of the board, good evening. The tentative budget hearing was a few weeks ago, so this is just the final. I have no formal presentation for you tonight. It is attached for your review. I am here to answer any questions you may have. We do have a final millage rate. Make sure I do this in the correct order. So we have a rollback rate of 2.933, and that's the state rollback rate. We announced the local rollback rate as 2.0238, and we have a total rollback rate increase of 2.35%. And Mr. Swindle will follow up with the recommendations of the new millage rates, which includes the prior period adjustments and the millage levy for general operating and capital outlay. You will also see the total approved final budget amounts for general debt service, capital projects, special revenue, and internal services, which is our self-insured medical plans that we now have, both dental and medical. And I'm happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
Well, good, thank you, sir. All right, we'll, presentation, let's see here.
Number 3.
We'll ask for any public comment on the millage, the taxes, or the final budget. Do we have any comments? Slow down, nobody rush up. All right. Seeing that we have no comment, we will close the public, the hearing for the public's comments at this point. Mr. Superintendent, do we have a recommendation on the millage rates?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. As superintendent, I recommend the adoption of the millage levy resolution as follows. The taxing authority is the District School Board of Hendry County. The state rollback rate is 2.933 mills. The local rollback rate is 2.0238 mills. The total rollback rate increase is 2.35%. I recommend the following millage levies. General operating millage levy, including prior year adjustment, is 2.99 mills. Basic discretionary millage levy for general operating is 0.748 mills. Basic discretionary millage levy for capital outlay is 1.500 mills. Total millage levy for the final budget is 5.247 mills.
We have a motion.
So, second.
Motion by Reverend Brown and seconded by Mr. Sammerdike. Do we have any discussion on the millage?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
so in our packet of information, I think this is the most information that we've ever gotten on, as in regards to millage and budgets on any year that I've ever served on the board. But the most significant one to me was the Florida Department of Education resolution determining revenues and millages levied. And so I called Mr. Swindle today and asked him for clarification. I'm asking him to speak to this because, you know, we just saw an election for property appraiser that we had one candidate saying, you know, it's the values that are driving our taxes up. And like we just heard from Mr. Quinn last meeting, how staggering the taxes are on these investment properties and even homes, and how high they've gone and the financial burden it's creating for people. And so then we had the second, I digress, I went off on a rabbit hole there. And then we had the second candidate saying it's the taxing authorities, like the boards, the school boards, the county commission, and the city commission, who are setting the millage rates and the taxes. So we had like two opposite sides there. And so when I was looking at this, because you know I've always been like a not one more dollar in taxes. I feel like folks are just absolutely taxed out. You got to live within your means. And seeing this particular document really, it was stunning to me. It helped me understand on a deeper level that we're not operating under this with the same discretion as, say, the city commissioner or the county commission. Because all the areas that we, and I, you know, want this to be clear on voters, because I mean, and to constituents when they talk about, you know, the taxes that are being levied, but the taxes that are being levied and the millage rates that are proposed to be levied tonight are considered non-voted levies. And so I called the superintendent, I was like, is this what I think it is? And essentially it is. Like, there's really no choice on it. This is what the state says that you have to levy if you're going to participate in the Florida Education Finance Program, and we don't have a choice if we're, I mean, because in the Florida Education Finance Program, we don't generate enough local taxes to support ourselves. And so there's counties like Collier County and Escambia, all these big counties that we end up getting money from because, you know, they have the same formula. And so if we could get the superintendent to speak to that tonight, I just want the general public to be aware that these are millage rates that are essentially set by unelected bureaucrats in Tallahassee.
So to give you just a little bit of history on it and to help everybody understand, the Florida Educational Finance Program, or what we refer to as the FEFP, it is designed to keep the funding per student, per pupil, the same in all of the 67 counties throughout Florida. And so no matter if you're in Hendry County, where we have a very low tax base and a lot of poverty, or if you're in Flagler County, one of the most affluent, wealthiest, like Collier or Monroe County, for example, they want to make sure that the monies that we receive and spend on a student is the same, no matter where you are. That would keep the disproportionality of a county being able to exceedingly fund, you know, and have phenomenal schools and teachers making several $100,000 a year and so on and so forth. And so the FEFP attempts to keep the funding in a school district the same across all the school districts to make sure that there is some continuity with the education services being provided. Having said that, there's an algorithmic formula where they look at our community, they see what our tax base is, and then they set these millages for us. We don't have any discretion over these set non-voted millages whatsoever. And so there's a non-voted and a voted side. If the school board were to decide that they wanted to increase for a certain reason, a good reason in my mind would be so that we can increase into our general fund so we could increase significantly the salaries of our teachers. You have the ability to add to that non-voted side and increase or levy more taxes so that we could raise money for that. And if you'll notice in that box on the voted side, that to my knowledge, there's never been any in there at all. And so we have never imposed a Hendry County School Board voted side of that. We've always gone with the non-voted side, which is what the state says, and we have taken that. So there is some differences and variances. When you look at county taxes and city taxes, they have the ability within their boards to raise and lower and adopt at a certain spot, depending on what their needs are and what their, expenses are. We do not. We have to accept what they give us with regard to that, and then live within those means. And so we do that all through the non-voted taxes that were the millages that we just discussed.
And I'm stuck right between wanting to be defiant of unelected bureaucrats don't tell us what to do, but then I also don't want to not be in the Florida Education Finance Program too, because it wouldn't pan out very well for our county.
Okay.
That concludes my comments.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
This is going to be painful.
Thank you for the little bit of insight on that. We appreciate it very much. So, any other discussion? Hearing no other discussion, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Mr. Superintendent, recommendation for the 2024-25 final budget?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I recommend approval of the 2024-25 final budget in the following amounts. Fund 1, General, $140,412,538. Fund 2, Debt Service, $677,441. Fund 3, Capital Projects, $54,014,857. Fund 4, Special Revenues, $29,112,710. Fund 7, Internal Services, $12,781,006, for a total budget of $236,998,552.
Do we have
So moved.
Second.
a motion by Mr. Samerdike, seconded by Ms. Nelson? Any other discussion?
Just a quick note, just in case any of you are keeping score. When I took superintendency 4 years ago, our budget was $112 million. So we've increased about 105% in 4 years' time. Just letting you know, I'm a very expensive friend, you're right. Yes.
I think that new school might have a little something to do with that.
About $30 million worth in this budget,
And that's including DAOFs.
$30 million as well.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, we will close this hearing out and proceed to the regular agenda. Okay. Mr. Superintendent, we have an annual financial report.
Yes, sir. Item B is the annual financial report for the fiscal year 2024, ending of June 30th. I recommend your approval of the recommend your approval of Action 5B, annual financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024, as presented.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. Samerdike, seconded by Reverend Brown. Do we have any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. No old business. Do we have any attorney updates?
I do, but it is related to board member business meeting about the Plus property, this nuisance question from last time. So I'll just say
Wait until then?
until then. I think that would make more sense.
All right, well, we'll move on to board member business, professional development. Superintendent, we have something on professional development?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is an item that we tabled 2 meetings ago, I believe. And this was professional development. This was some questions that was brought up. And we was asked to wait until this meeting and bring some more information forward. And so I'll yield to the board at this point in time.
Okay. Oh, this is what,
This is me. This is my problem.
this was Mrs. Buson's fault.
That's
All
me.
right, Mr. Buson, okay, you have some discussion on this?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's much of a surprise that I do have a package of information for everyone. If you'll take one and pass it down. And so, what I proposed in the meeting was, based on, I didn't splurge on staples on that one, so we have loose leaf packets. What I proposed or made a motion on was, based on state law, if we spend as a board member, we're gonna spend over $500, that we have to be transparent about our travel and professional development, because typically that's what our travel involves, and it has to be on the agenda, and board has to vote on it. And so, we had some professional development this summer that I didn't like it last time, and I didn't like it again this year, and because it was in state, I know we spent far over $25,000, but it never came to the board for a vote. And I had some folks, I didn't even know, because it didn't come to the board for a vote, I didn't even know that we were participating in it. And so it just made me think of how important I think it would be as a board member to be able to weigh in on whether or not we wanted to use taxpayer funding for travel of this kind, because it was, how much would you say, Mr. Swindle? It was a lot of money, like we spent on this.
I don't know the number off the top of my head.
It's
Yeah.
a lot.
Ms. Duncan might know.
Have an idea?
Yeah, approximately 30,000.
Okay. So we, in total, we crossed the threshold of 25, and it didn't come to the board. And so I just want to give you some examples of the benefit I believe it is to have, to know like what we're supporting in the professional development. And like right here, like the first 2 pages show you that if you see the pink highlights, that stands for Common Core State Standards. We don't do that in Florida. So we sent folks to be trained on standards that we're not doing. The second one, and this is all from either their website or their social media accounts. The third page is a comedian, and I was telling Mr. Swindle earlier, he performed at this professional development, and I was telling Mr. Swindle before that I've seen this comedian, I'm aware of his work because I too think I am hilarious, and this guy, I don't know, I feel like he drags down the professionalism of teaching. And like if you look at the shirt he's on, like this is their actual page, his shirt says, I'm a Christian, but these hands are non-denominational. This guy jokes about how teachers should be able to drink in the classroom, put their hands on kids and fight kids, and I mean, I just thought that was not my gig. The fourth page is, they're saying make some noise if you're already a few drinks in. And I'm thinking about like, is this professional? Because this is what they're putting out. This isn't stuff that I'm getting off teachers' pages. This is what they're putting out on their outlets. Is that what we're doing? And, some of these other things, we've got ideology there, sexual identity ideology. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But when I went and I searched for everything about what about kids with special needs or other marginalized groups, and it wasn't there, that was the focus of what they wanted to promote through that company. And so, when this is all over social media and the school board's getting thanked for sending them there, and then this is what they're putting forward, I want to be able, not in just this particular conference, but in all conferences, to know what our people are going and what they're learning and what we are committing taxpayers' dollars to fund. So that was what was behind my motion to bring out of county travel and professional development before the board for to ask the board attorney to please consider if the board saw fit to wordsmith a policy that would require professional development to be board approved.
I walked in as I heard board attorney.
Yes.
But what I'm gathering is you were asking if we could implement some sort of policy to
Out of county travel and professional development, that it needs to be board approved, because our board, we are going to spend more than $500. We've got to put it out there and be not only transparent with the public, but transparent with each other about where we're going, and I have to have a board approval. and like and by law, duly elected officials, I think that as fiduciary agents, that it makes sense to do that,
To answer your question, yes, you can implement a new policy. If the board comes to that resolution, it would have to be something that would have to be voted on by the board with a majority vote.
And so, yes, sir?
All right, today, in our item H in our consent agenda, there's an out-of-state request for Lon Clark Academy. How come some things are in and some things are not? Is it
Out of state has to be board approved.
Okay.
But this happened in Orlando.
I see.
So you can travel out of county within the state of Florida and not have to get it board approved. It should be board approved per state, or per our policy if the total is over $25,000, but there might have been several invoices and it slid under the radar.
So my question to you would be, what qualifies us to make that judgment call?
The people who voted for us,
That doesn't qualify us, because that still doesn't tell me what they're teaching here and all of their standards that they're getting, that they're teaching our people. That doesn't help me because I'm put in this position, does not educate me one bit on this.
well, I think that it gives us an opportunity to learn more about it. Like, we're learning about it after the fact, not before the fact. Like, you don't even have the ability to ask questions because I didn't even know it was happening until it popped up. And then when I was like, what is going on here? And I start looking at it, then here we are. None of this is standard aligned. It's 31 pages of non-standard aligned professional development.
So that's everything that they did at that one particular conference, nothing aligned with our standards at all?
So this is just like 3rd through 6th, but they had 31 pages of their alignments and resources. And I've read 31 pages of it. And it goes from pre-K to middle school. And these were just 2 that I pulled out, 3 through 6.
Is that 2 different conferences or one?
No, it's the same conference because they had stuff aligned for pre-K and 1st grade and 2nd grade and 3rd through 6th and then middle school.
And none of it?
And it was all Common Core state standards aligned.
Every bit of it?
Yes, sir. That's what their own advertisement said.
Right. Okay. So.
So that was like that was the first thing I saw was.
Okay. I mean, I'm just curious because, like I said, Mr. Houston, I mean, honestly, from my point of view, if I had to go through this and look at it, I'm not qualified to say what they're going to get out of it, what they're not. What I am qualified to tell you is this. I had a child that went to one of these conferences that is a teacher last year. And I know you were upset about the pictures of them having a good time, but that also does some team building for the teachers. It lets them blow off a little bit of steam before they get ready to go into the new year and start teaching. And my daughter came back fired up, ready to go to work after going to that conference last year. I mean, excited as the day she got her teaching certificate, ready to go to work and change kids' lives. I saw that firsthand.
And the other
And
side.
it's incredible to see that. So it's there's a lot of positive that takes place in those as well. I can assure you.
The other side of that coin is public perception. And then, the children that we serve, some of those kids don't get out of their neighborhood for the summer. They don't get vacations. They don't get any of this. And they don't go to the Gaylord Palms and see concerts. And I think that it was, if you're going to do that, then maybe we need to be addressing what people are posting on social media where the members of the public can see, because that's what it looked like. There was even a reel on there. I know that we're all old enough, mature enough to remember Madonna. Like, remember that song, Holiday? Yes, no more singing. And, but it was like, I thought I was sad, but all I needed was, and they were just doing, and they're promoting themselves as like a vacation. And when the people that we serve, so many of those aren't even getting that opportunity. I mean, they're not getting out of their own neighborhood, so.
Think about it from an advertising standpoint. If you advertise the dullest, boringest conference ever, how many people are going to show up? You know what I mean?
You know what they
Advertising
weren't.
for fun.
So no, as a taxpayer and as a parent and as a community member, I want to see a meaningful. I want to see them talking about. I don't care about your ideology. I don't care about you over here dropping it like it's hot and make some noise if you're a few drinks in. I want to know what you're doing to learn to help my kid read and write and do math better. That's what matters. I mean, kids' lives are on the line, and I think that if at the very least, this is incredibly poor marketing, and it's tone deaf to the general public and the parents and the students that we serve. I mean, that's just the way I see it. But I think I wish we had an opportunity on big ticket items like this to weigh in. And if 4 people want it and 1 doesn't, they go anyway. But you still have the opportunity to say, "Whoa, sorry," that you support it or you don't.
What's the rest of the board think?
Mr. Chair, I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
The photos of the fund, are those occurring during session hours or after?
Well, I don't know, I'm not there. But
Like,
like,
it just seems like your issue is a little bit more than marketing. It seems like you should be addressing the company that's marketing this.
they actually, this was pretty funny. Last year on Twitter, I made a broad statement. I didn't call anybody out. I didn't add them. And somebody directed, and the owners of this company tried to eat my lunch. That didn't go well. And they know the perception. Like, we've had direct interaction about it. And I'm like, where's your science of reading training? Where is, because we're doing that. Like, some of the stuff like fountains and Pinal, that was some of the issues since like the late 80s, early 90s of the sight words and context clues and stuff that have made reading and reading achievement so challenging for generations, a couple of generations of students. And when I'm looking at some of their alignment guides, they're quoting these people instead of like, and then we're going all in on UFly and the science of reading, but I don't see any of that alignment in these. And I just think if we're going to be spending that money, then it needs to be effective for these kids. So, I mean, that's just my thoughts. And this is just an example. Like, I'm looking at the broader policy part of it, and I'm using this as an example of why a specific example as of why I would like to have a say in it. Another reason I think would be a good idea is because, I don't do the FSBA trainings anymore. I feel like I've outgrown those, and it's not the direction I want to take. But if there's some of these that could be meaningful, if I had the ability to research and that's something that could be meaningful to participate in a board member to help me do my job better and have a better understanding of the needs and the trends in education, then I'd like to be able to participate in that. And I think it's just a matter of knowing. It's a matter of being transparent about
Mr.
what we're doing.
Who makes the decision on these conferences here?
So on a school-based level, the principals know specifically what needs their staff has and where they need to grow professionally. And then they work with the said director, whether it be the elementary or the secondary director, to align with what conference would best provide those type of either trainings or pedagogical type of trainings to help them become better teachers or alignment or whatever it may happen to be. And so the answer to your question is the principals and then the respective directors are the ones that make that decision.
So these are vetted then before they make these decisions for them to go?
Yeah, the teachers don't have, the ability to just say, we're going to this one and go. It has to go through at least 2 different layers on a school then district level. And most of the time even more, because these are all grant funded, and so then whoever that said grant administrator would also have to look at that and vet that as well.
So, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I trust that we have good people in place to do those exact things, to vet these things out. I don't see our staff and administration sending our teachers off to a party scene. I just don't see that. Are they going to align with every single thing that we do here? I highly doubt it. But I just don't see them saying, party time, let's go. I think that they're looking at, like I say, I saw it firsthand with my daughter. And I know there was several schools at that particular conference that year, and I know you had an issue with that one particular conference because a school was all dressed and they did a little dance thing that year together.
Hey, I
My
saw
daughter wasn't in
teachers-
that school, she was in a different, but nevertheless, that was some team building as well at the same time, I think.
I
You
saw
know, that's
videos
what
of
fires
teachers
them up.
dancing on chairs and dropping it like it's hot. I mean, and it like went out there to the public.
Well, but
That
if
was
that
wild
was
to
in-
me.
If that was in the after hours, they could have done that by whether they were at a conference or not.
They were saying they were at the conference doing it. I mean, that's,
But I don't know, that's just my thoughts on it.
I think our teachers were very hard. And we talked to a couple of principals when their teachers were going. Their teachers were excited, they had fun, they felt exhilarated, and you know what? I think that's okay. I'm fine. If they went there, they had a good time, and they come back and they're ready to work, and they learned some things that were beneficial while they were there, more power to them, that's fine with me. And I think when we have our principals and our upper level administrators review it first, I know it doesn't meet everybody's goals, but if they go there and they have better skills and they had some fun and they're exhilarated to come back and teach a little bit better than they did last year and they're ready to move forward, then that's the direction we should go.
so on a tabled vote, do we still have to, we have to vote on it?
Yes.
All right.
Is it, did we, Superintendent mentioned that the principal approves it? It's like 30,000, was the limit 30,000?
No, that's just what this one cost. The question was, how much did this one cost? And I believe that one was right around the 30,000 mark.
Oh, okay. It would be possible for them to come here and say, they're gonna do this, they're gonna learn that. And then we'll hear from the principal saying, by improving, and they're gonna have a good time, or study this, and then. For us, I would understand what they're going through, that's what we thought.
We should go next year.
Anyway, I mean, that's better to have us trying to review something that we're not fully, aware of. Don't let it be a problem for now.
I want to make sure I understand what you're asking. Could they come here and present to you about what they
Principal
want to
will come
do?
and say, I'm gonna send my people here, they're gonna learn this, and then, their nightlife is their nightlife. We really can't dictate, what they do with the nightlife.
If that's what you're asking, that's what the board decides. But that's going to be a lot of people, principals coming here and presenting.
I don't know if we need them all to come, but if a lot of teachers and our auto principal, I'd say one in a couple of minutes up here to let us know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for 70 teachers to be up here all standing in line.
Or even for every conference. Through the school year, we go to a couple conferences. But the month of May and June, you would be in here for hours each meeting. Because there's a lot. There's a lot. Yeah.
I don't think that's something we really wanna get into.
But I think this is a specific example of the policy is not about this one particular conference. It is about out of state. The policy suggestion is about out of county travel for professional development. It's not about this particular one. This was just a sensational example that I thought would drive home the point of why I felt concerned.
That will still drive home the point of what he's talking about. In those several months, we will be inundated with presentations, is what he's saying.
I didn't ask for a presentation. I just said put it as an agenda item, like the Ron Clark Academy. So guess what? I went to the Ron Clark Academy. I looked it up. I said, okay, look at this. How much is it going to cost? Da, 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 da. And I had an idea. I mean, that's all. I'm not saying I'm going to do a deep dive and a complete evaluation on it, but if we're approving that for going to out of state, that was I don't know how there was a significant number of people who made that travel out of county for this professional development. I'm not asking for a presentation on every one. That wasn't my ask at all. Mine was just to have it listed, similar to what we do if you want to go to FSBA or whatever professional development and travel you're doing, that same level of transparency.
So what was the motion?
What she was just talking
It's-
about.
Well,
So
That's about 15 minutes. We have a summary.
yes, sir. On the agenda item, it says motion. Let me back up and make sure we do it. After discussion with the board member, Ms. Busen made a motion that all travel for teachers out of county professional development conferences go before the board for approval. The motion was seconded by Mr. Simmerdike. During the discussion, Mr. Simmerdike made a motion lay on the table, which is where we are now.
Thank you.
Do we have any further discussion? No further discussion. I say we vote on the motion then that Ms. Busen has on the table. All in favor of Ms. Busen's motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Motion fails 4-1. So we will move on to board member business 8B plus property. Superintendent?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. At the last meeting, we had a presentation by some county officials and engineers regarding one of the pieces of property that we have in Port LaBelle. And they need to use it for some water wells to increase the water supply to the Port LaBelle utility system. That we're still working on that. They are wrapped up with other projects and could not be here tonight, and we could not get all the information we wanted prepared. They asked us, would it be possible to continue that into October? I would ask you that, that we continue that. We do have time for discussion tonight, and if you have some, I believe Mr. Simmerdike has some things that he wants to present.
What I'd like the board to do is look at, on the item, it shows all the properties that are available. I have made something for you guys to look at.
Is there a specific one?
I'm sorry, the property costs, the values.
The appraisals? Yeah. Okay.
You got one?
I've got one.
Okay.
We need one.
I'll keep mine to give Ms. Collins.
At the end of our conversation on this property, we were talking about what else we could do with this property. It has to have wells. We understand that the water department very much wants that property. And the more we talked about it, was there any reason that we couldn't build housing, teacher housing? The access to the sanitary was real close, so we didn't have to build a huge septic system and so forth. So I asked someone to just sketch, and on the front page here is a two units that's combined in one, and then I asked them to look at the plus property on this page here, and you can see the number of built houses or units that we can build. It's 40 units, each has 2, so that becomes 80 possible houses to be built on that piece of property. Now, when we look at the other properties that are available in Port LaBelle, they also have large values. If we sold, as an option, sold some of those, we could start building. If we only built 10 units right now, that's still 20 houses. That's 20 people that we could house at this time. And First Bank is more than willing to put in a bid on financing for us. Now, we're a little county, we don't do much, but I feel that this is sort of a gift that we've been given and that we should utilize it. That piece of property is beautiful, and see the circles? Still plenty of room for the wells.
Who did the rendering on this sketch?
It was an engineer.
Be transparent, Mr. Timberlake.
All right. Yeah, Mr. Nelson.
No, I have nothing to do with
Yeah,
it.
it had nothing to do with it.
Never seen that.
So here's what we have. We have the opportunity. We have a bank that's willing to work with us. We're never going to be in this position again. We could still probably get some money from the water department. I'm chairman of the water board there. They have some money, and with this, if we started with 10 units, it could be huge. We have 80 possible over a short period of time. We could house 80 people. I think or more.
Teachers double up.
Well, that's right. They're all 2-bedroom. So you could obviously have more. And I talked to a management company. They manage for 10%. We don't want Mr. Swindle going out there with a plunger, with a toilet back stuff. They handle all of that. Not that he couldn't do it. I'm sure he's very capable. And, but this is an opportunity to say, go big or go home sort of thing. Here's an opportunity for us to do something. It's sort of laid out. It's a good piece of property. It's in a nice area, and it's not that far from Lewiston. It's closer. It's on the far side of Port LaBelle, so people don't even have to drive through them. I drove from LaBelle for 35 years. I didn't find that to be a horrendous traffic jam or anything. And so it initially applies for some housing that we need, and obviously it needs a lot of work, but these units, and then we would have to go out to bid on those. I talked to a couple of companies that would like to bid on this if this is the direction that we went in. So we lose nothing by exploring this and saying, well, maybe we need to look at it a little more before we make a decision. But something like that, where you could go with 3 or quads and stuff like that. There's more options. We just aren't with the two units.
So my question is this to you. With these 3 wells, so you're thinking we maintain control of the property, we allow them to place these wells there?
I think we give them a right of access and so forth and say that's yours, and they maintain it. I don't know if we have to, I would have to talk to the attorney. Do we have to deed that section off, or do we just give them a right of way to access?
So there are multiple questions that I want to address from last meeting and then wrap in some of the ones that were presented tonight. So first, Board Member Busen last meeting asked if when we sell real property owned by the district, if it needs to be put out to bid for proposals. The short answer to that question is no. The statute is 1013.28. It goes into the disposition of real property and the sale of land. The key thing that the board has to decide is whether or not the decision is in the best interest of the public. So there's no currently governing board policy that requires you to put this out for bid. You would just need to decide that whatever you do is for the best interest of the public. Also that it's unnecessary for educational purposes, it's surplus land as defined by the Educational Plant Survey. And again, diligent efforts to dispose of it only in the best interest of the public. That's the key. There was a question last time of whether or not the property can be donated. The answer is it can be if the board again decides it's in the best interest of the public. And there's several factors that the board could weigh in deciding that, if selling it and getting that equity would be more beneficial than donating it to the purpose that the trust was for. So there is an alternative to where you convey the land with a deed and have a public purpose reverter provision, which would maintain the board's right of reverter, basically, to access the land. There's also an alternative to give them an easement. We have the ability to do that. That has a specific board policy that's already adopted. It's board policy 7305, and I can pull it up for you to read to you straight from it, because there are certain things that must be done in order to convey the easement. I won't read it verbatim, but it says in part that companies or other governmental entities that desire an easement shall submit an application packet to the superintendent. It has to include description of the type of easement that's sought, legal description of the parcel for which the easement sought, architectural drawings, elevations for any structure that would be constructed on the parcel, so on and so forth. And they would have to submit the application at least 30 days before the board approves it. that's another thing that we can consider with this property. As far as affordable housing, Mr. Saberite called me today and asked me if there's anything preventing us from doing this. Again, short answer is no. There's statutory authority that says that a school district can do such a thing, provide affordable housing for its employees and district personnel. The statute, if you're interested, is 1001.4312. The only concern is, let me back up. There are a lot of districts that are exploring this. I'll give you a couple of examples that I wrote down. Pasco, they partnered with Habitat for Humanity. They conveyed the surplus property to the county to give to Habitat for Humanity, and then Habitat for Humanity constructed the housing for the teachers. Sarasota, if you want to look into it, their program is called Lofts on Lemon.
What is it, Sarasota?
Lofts on Lemon.
Lofts on Lemon.
Yep. Miami-Dade, they collaborated with county housing and a private developer, and all in all, it's a complicated process. It's going to take time. It takes several years, most often, to develop, but this is something that a lot of districts are exploring. My concern is the federal housing and how we cannot restrict the units to only be for school employees, teachers, and district personnel. However, we can have a preference for district personnel and teachers, but we cannot say this is only for teachers, yes, because of federal housing provisions. But again, let me reiterate that a lot of districts are exploring this, and it's something that's being done. I don't know what the board would decide would be in the best interest, but again, that's the key. Just to answer everyone's question, though, yes, you can do it, yes, we can sell it, yes, we can donate it, yes, we can get them an easement. So there are options. As far as the agenda item that's on the agenda for you to vote for now, I believe it was tabled. So technically, like Ms. Gibson asked for the prior item, since it was tabled, there must be a vote tonight on it, but that does not exclude you from really addressing it in a different form later, if that makes sense. If you're wanting to vote no on this particular request now, and then explore affordable housing in conjunction with it, or if you want to go ahead and vote yes.
I was not at the last meeting.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was just
Is there a
discussion.
motion? I think we had just discussion. We didn't have a motion on it. I made a presentation and recommendation, but it was never a motion.
You made a motion.
No, I can't make motions. I just made a
No,
recommendation.
Made a recommendation. There was a motion and a second. And then it was to give them the property. And then we went down 74 rabbit holes.
Okay.
Who made the motion to give it to them?
Let me look at the minutes from.
Yeah, look,
Huh?
I believe there was a motion and a second, because you have to have that for discussion. A motion and a second, and then you have a that you have to have that to open discussion.
I don't think so.
I recall.
Ms. Houston, you made a motion to table it until the September 3rd meeting. The motion was seconded by Mr. Sammerdine.
But there wasn't an initial motion on it, that we just went straight to discussion?
That's what I recall.
I would have bet against that all day. All right.
Yeah, I didn't think.
I wasn't
Okay.
Is
here.
that what Mr. Quinn got into?
Yeah, that's correct.
That was early, Mr. Quinn.
So I think y'all were just discussing my recommendation.
Okay.
There was a formal motion made. Y'all just tabled
All
it,
right.
so there's really no motion to decide upon right now.
All right, so the motion was just tabled.
Until,
And if it's okay with the board, if you'll give me the latitude, then I will work with the interested parties in the county and plus, and continue to bring back information and options until we flesh through, what that looks best on all of our behalves.
okay. So when do we want to look at bringing this back, or do we just want to leave that open?
If it's okay with you, if you'll let me just kind of work until we come back with some really good, solid options. And we want to move on it. We don't want to waste any more time than necessary. If we can go into housing, I want to go into housing and let's make it happen as soon as possible. So it'll be in October, no later, I'm hoping, than the October board meeting.
Okay.
So just for.
He doesn't the bubble window.
Have everything straight. If we table it, then it has to be to the next meeting. If we postpone, we can set a date. And it can be
There's no
addressed.
motion.
Okay.
Postpone.
Okay.
So there shouldn't be anything in, right? So
Can you read for me what was posted or what was tabled last time?
it was only my recommendation that we, which was the recommendation of the board item, so there was never an official motion.
Then that would be fine.
Okay.
You don't need to.
Yeah, she made a motion that we table it, and he seconded the motion to table it. All we did was put this thing right up to. And so, so then we'll leave it open-ended until you want to bring it back to us under old business.
Yes, sir. Can do.
So, now I do have a question though. You mentioned that, in the event that we go that way, that we cannot, strictly make it for teachers only, but we can give them preference. Is that what you said? If I'm understanding that correctly? So, and when we say preference, if we give them a discount or something like that, or we just give them, if 16 people apply and we can give it to, and we have 18 teachers, we can give to teachers only then at that point at our
Right, like everything
discretion.
in the law is such a gray area.
Yeah.
But just to generally answer your question, you cannot restrict it and say this housing facility is only for our district employees. You have to leave it open to all. But then if there's certain applicants, you can give preference to the applicants that fit the criteria that we're looking for, which would be district employees.
Now, can we limit the length of stay?
So it would, any housing facility that we have will have to comply with all other fair housing acts that currently exist. This is a concern that I have talked about at length with Mr. Swindle, about evictions and the termination of a teacher and what that will do to their leasehold interest in the property. It's a concern of mine, frankly. I think that it would all be in contract. It would all have to comply with statutory authority, federal acts and things like that. But if someone is terminated from employment, you would have to give them an amount of time. It's not, you are no longer a district employee, you're out of here. You would have to make sure we go through the right avenues in order to legally abide by what we need to do.
I was thinking more along the lines of, if we have a teacher, a new teacher that comes in, I mean, we want to keep them obviously as long as we possibly can, but do we say, okay, we've got housing here, but within 10 years, we expect you to be looking for alternative housing, something of that nature, along with anybody else, so we can keep them turning to help new teachers as they come through. That's what I'm.
It can be written in the contract, but again, it's very tricky whether or not that abides by the fair housing laws that we have.
Right.
To say you can live here, but if you don't meet these certain criteria or the duration of your stay is X, then you have to go. But there are leasehold interests that are only a year. That's what you typically see in your lease.
Right.
And in a normal situation, the leaser would have the opportunity to renew it or not. So it's all things that we have to explore, but not impossible, right?
You don't see it as an impossible situation. The
No.
contract, it's just contracting.
Yeah, and it's like I've said
I mean,
before, a lot of
everybody,
other
half the
districts are
people
doing
in the
it.
country are renting right now.
Right.
So everybody's got a rental contract.
Yeah, it's not impossible, and a lot of districts are doing it, it's just going to be a process, it's not going to be an easy.
That's why we have a good lawyer. That's right.
While we're fleshing this out and figuring out a path forward to see if it's, my concern is on the other side. So say we put up 20 units. I promise you, we're gonna have more than 20 people want those units. And so how, that is how are you going to make those decisions fair and equitably that doesn't end up getting you in trouble? And are we gonna use that, is there gonna be any subsidization of these? And does that qualify as part of a benefits package? And does that have to be negotiated through the union? And if you go there, then what about us folks who have been paying taxes and paid our rent and we're paying property taxes now, and now we're not getting that benefit as well? So when we're looking at fair and equitable there, that's,
I think you do a lottery system. if you had 60 people wanting 20 units, you do a lottery system on that to let them, you know, I mean,
Well,
that way you're being fair and impartial.
Well, this is getting into an area where we really need to spend some awful time
That's right.
coming through with a lot of options, because this is never ending, because it's gonna be a lot. That's why, you know, Attorney Madison said that, you know, it takes a lot of time, sometimes years to get this done. And you're seeing why, right? And I think you've heard me say this before. None of us signed up for this. None of us want to do this, but this is something that would help us recruit and retain high-quality individuals, you know, to be in Hendry County as teachers, and that really is the difference maker. So it's a necessary evil, and I'm willing to wade through it, you know.
What is our, so we recruit your typical certified teacher out of college, how long do they stay with us typically?
I don't know a number, you know, we can go down the list of the ones that we know, you know. Some are with us from that 3 to 5 year period, because a lot of times we recruit them from Pennsylvania and other states that they can't even get a job there until they've had 3 years experience or a master's degree. So they come here and get that, and then they move back home with the family and then eligible to get into those jobs. But we've also had some phenomenal wins that we keep a lot of the folks, you know, that are from there as well. So I don't know that there's an
I
actual
didn't
number.
recruit one, but I retained one, so,
Yeah.
you know, like I said about being hilarious. So, you know, I get that. I would like to see like what the average span is, because if, you know, and think about you know, is this gonna be transitional housing? You know, is that the goal? And define like the length of what the transitional time would be for them.
Yeah, again, those are
But yeah.
in very important details that we have to spend time fleshing through.
Well, I think that, we don't need to make any kind of, we're just going to push it to.
Yep. Yep. Yes, sir. I'll try to make it later in October. Is my goal.
All right, so that is the end of our agenda. Madam Attorney, is there anything else that you have?
I do not.
Mr. Superintendent?
I do have just a couple things. Just to give you a heads up, we will be coming to you in October with another expulsion hearing. So we will have one of those pre-meetings like we did before to go through the information. We will make sure you're well aware of that and you're prepared for that before that meeting, and you know that. Secondly, this is a time of the year where we have a lot of just things going on. Everything from football games, volleyball games, a lot of career and technical education things happening. A lot of the clubs, you know, doing things around campuses, non-campuses, after school, weekends. If you want to keep up with that or and participate, you know, the students, the teachers, the administrators know when you're on campus, they appreciate it and they love to see the support from the diocese. So if you can make any of those happen, we would love to have you there. That's all for me. Thank you.
Very good. All right. Well, for all of the people that have been keeping up with the election, congratulations to the ones that won, condolences to the ones that didn't. Better luck next time. So, and then I do want to say that the city of Clewiston actually just purchased or leased a machine that does striping for ball fields. Incredible. I happen to know my son-in-law was the one that was running the machine and showed me pictures. I don't know if you've seen them or if any of you saw it. He did Kane Field in 4 hours for the middle school. 8 gallons of paint and just incredible. Looks like a professional field. So my question is, are we in talks with the city? And he didn't tell me, he wouldn't tell me. He said, you gotta find out on your own. About maybe trying to get them to, because he told me, he did tell me that they would do it a lot cheaper than we can as far as paint. Has he contacted you or athletic department that you know of?
Not me, anyway. I can't speak for the athletic department. We're very appreciative to the city and what they continue to do for our athletics, as well as other things that they really help us on. I'm more than happy to talk to them about that.
Yeah, I think that would be huge because, I mean, it really, I wish I should have had him send me a picture. It really looked nice, you know, in 4 hours. I don't know about you, but I don't want to push a machine out there for 4 hours across the field. It really looks sharp, so just something I think we should definitely check into if at all possible. So that's it for me. Mr. Sammerdike?
Just one quick thing is, the IPK entrance here that they just finished is beautiful. You know, it was a crappy rundown hallway, and now it is stunning. It looks so good. I'm so impressed with the job they did on that.
Tell us how you really
I'll tell you how I thought it was. No, it's beautiful. That's it.
Well, actually, I can just second what he said. I went over there today, I went to the classrooms, and of course, all the little peanuts are around, but I think it's going to be an amazing asset to this district. I'm super excited. That's it.
No, ma'am, anything in particular, man, since school got off a good foot, so we just hoping to pray everything continue to be well. Very good. All right. Ms. Busey?
I do, and I'm going to use my extra 10 minutes from not saying anything in the last meeting. I'm just kidding. So I've had some parents reach out with concerns about East Side, West Side, and that whole complex around those elementary school pod with the, like, traffic flow. And so it's been a long time since I've had to go and participate in that personally. So I went and sat out and just kind of observed some of the complaints I was hearing. I don't know if any of you guys feel the same way as I do, but when DOT went in there and created that school zone, it doesn't make sense. It is, and so what I saw was some people smoking through, like the area where you would have, you would turn in to go to East Side or West Side, but then you have a protected area that's basically just in front of a convenience store. So you're not in a, and is there any way to get the DOT to come back and revisit that? Because your designated school zone area is right there in front of a convenience store where you can't speed, but you could actually speed through where the actual ingress to go and drop the kids off where there should, I mean, I don't know, we don't have a crossing guard there either. We used to, but we don't have him there now. And that area right there is not protected by school zone speed limits.
On WCO?
Yes, like if you notice this, you've got, I don't know, they called it Boss Man's convenience store. Well, that's what we called it. I don't know the real name. And then you have that place that has like the hot pink place that has the little restaurant. The school zone is like from here to here in front of this. And then here's our school, and then you turn in here. All of this is unprotected by the school zone.
No, it's 25 all the way through there.
It's not marked that way.
On the right-hand side, there's a sign that says 25. On the right-hand side, you're looking at the big 15 up above. It's 25 after you come across the track, shortly down there by the railroad. I had somebody ask me the same question. And then on the other side, coming from Sugar, just past the John Boy entrance, there's a 25 zone there.
So we don't have the flashing lights on this side. I think what people are looking for are that flashing area, but why?
If you don't mind, Mr. Clay has an update of
Okay.
something new that's being installed. If you're out there today, you should have seen crews working.
I wasn't today.
Yeah, and so they're explaining.
The school zone does go to where you're saying it does go all the way down there, but just to make it clear, we're in the process of installing new digital speed cameras with the sheriff's office in collaboration between them and the school district. And there'll actually be speed cameras going up there, and you'll actually receive fines when speeding through the school district. Actually capture your tagging information, you receive a fine in the mail of $100 to begin with if you're speeding through the school zone. And that's going to be countywide. They're updating it in LaBelle and over by the high school, and then that school zone there by the west side and east side. But it is a document area that they've given us is that. Now for your traffic issues, your traffic control issues, all I can tell you is we were not built for the capacity of what we have going on, and that is a much bigger headache that is with DOT, the city of Cooliston, expanding and building the roadways. We just weren't designed for the amount of traffic we have going in these small areas, and I would love to tell you there's a fix coming for that, but I don't have that off the top of my head. But there is those new cameras.
Are they installed yet?
They're being installed. They're actually in the process of running the power and getting all that stuff put in. I'm hoping to have them before the middle of the year. But they're actually working on it. But your school zone is still the same school zone. That'll just be a little bit better at enforcing because we're struggling to get law enforcement to sit in the school zones as well. They're very busy. And so that's a big struggle for us as well.
And I believe that part of them doing that, the statute requires them to put up all new signs, markings.
That's
That
what I was
was the
getting at.
presentation.
Presentation showed that.
Yeah, that one fell apart, but a different company has picked it up, but it's the
So
same thing.
Chris is
Yeah.
confirming to me that she's sitting in the meetings and there will be all new signage put up, all new information put up.
Great.
Yeah, I work directly with the company Ultimate for the sheriff's office. I'm one of the individuals that's overseeing on our end, our cooperation with the company. And so what they're projecting right now is November, but it could be sooner for the cameras to be active. But prior to the cameras being active and citations being issued, there will be a 30-day warning period, and information will be sent out to the public to educate them about the cameras,
Much better.
and what's to come with that. So, but it will have new signs, it'll have, I can't say for sure if it's gonna have the flashing lights, but it will be better programmed. So it's specific to like the days that when there's a holiday break, they'll have the school calendar. So those won't be active during holiday breaks or after a half day. It'll be specific to school.
The time change is always an
Yeah, so
issue.
we just had to update all of our school times and stuff, and it's 30 minutes before, 20 minutes
Yes.
after, right? And me and Christy worked with that, and we just got that updated, and that'll all be programmed in, and it'll automatically change on its own without trying to remember for somebody from road bridge to run it up there.
You come up there at 9:30 and it's still, wait a minute. Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm pleased to hear that. I mean, what I witnessed there, and I didn't see what Mr. Bauk, I didn't see those little signs because I was looking at that little, I mean, it was so confused, and I'm like, what in the world's
We
going
should
on?
have a crossing guard there, I didn't think he had left, so I just confirmed, so maybe you were there a day when they didn't sick or something, I don't know.
Yeah, Mr. Stinson should be at that intersection for WC Owen and Arroyo. And usually if he's not going to be there during his designated times, we do try to have a road deputy out there in his place just because of the traffic congestion right there.
Yeah, he wasn't there that day. Another issue that I saw is folks aren't being mindful and they block the buses coming out of Margaret Street. I don't know if there's like signage say like, hey, give them, but I know they were very frustrated trying to get out of that.
It comes back to an enforcement issue, when you take your driver's exam, if the traffic is stopped, you're not supposed to block egresses onto the roadway, and people don't follow the laws. And trying to get people out there, again, the sheriff's office is extremely busy, the police department's they're extremely busy. I've talked to them all about trying to get somebody out there during the school zones. I actually talked to them about that particular bus incident. And the response I got was, if we're available, we will be there. We've reached out, we've done our due diligence on that, but we're doing the best we can as a school district to solve this problem.
I appreciate it. I just want, that was just something that I'm getting the shake. I was getting phone calls and pictures today from the pickup drop-off
Me too,
line.
I understand.
I know, I sent them to you. All right, that concludes my comments this evening.
I do have one other question for you, though, and it made me think of it with her question. If you leave the Clewiston High School and head out through Hooker's Point, there's a school zone out there in the middle of nowhere. There's not a school around out there. Can we get those, is there a reason those signs are up?
I will check on it, sir, and get back with the superintendent, and get back with you.
I got pulled over a couple years ago in there for that very, and so I know very well where, I did not get a ticket, but I was like,